right, so let's start talking about the 3 big crystal myths. All right, I have my notes here. Let me just drink some water. My Gem Elixir water on tap, of course. All right, so myth number 1. And before I even get started talking about this, I want to say that no dogmatic buy-ins from me, okay? You know, I love me a mature debate, a respectful debate. You know, if it stirs up a little controversy, great, gets us all talking, makes me think, and I like when it makes me think and perhaps even see something from a different perspective, and maybe debunking some myths while we're talking about certain things. It gets us talking, it gets us critically thinking, and might reveal new information and things that we didn't know about. And then we can, you know, take a look at our old beliefs, things that we held true, and maybe look at things in a new way and come to a new conclusion, look at new research. I have no problem, you know, being presented like, hey, maybe you didn't think about this. So, you know, we all reserve the right to change our mind, right? So I'm not saying in any way that this is the right way, my way or the highway. I'm just trying to create a platform for us all to think critically, okay? All right, so first myth is that I want to discuss is this one. Some crystals never need cleansing. Okay, now I have a whole thought and theory on the theme of cleansing crystals. I like to call it retuning. Those of you who have taken my Certified Crystal Healer course know that I refer to it as retuning your crystals for a very specific reason. I don't feel like it needs to be done all the time or as often as many people probably would have you think, or, you know, that it needs to be done at every full moon and all of that sort of thing. But there is some crystal dogma out there, some crystal myths out there, or what I feel are myths. I shouldn't factually say that. Is that certain specific crystals never, ever, ever need any cleansing. And the ones that come to mind that I often hear this about are citrine, kyanite, selenite. Those are the 3 I can think of off the top of my head. And if you have any others, go ahead and pop them into the comments, where people claim that they do not need to be cleansed at all. So, and yeah, most often we hear this, I believe, about citrine. So let's think about this logically, scientifically, critically. What would it be about citrine? Let's take citrine since it seems to be the most popular one. What would it be about citrine specifically that would cause it to never need any cleansing? I mean, it's a quartz, just like clear quartz, just like amethyst. In fact, often I will wager that most of the citrine you guys have out there is actually baked amethyst. It was formerly amethyst, a lightly colored amethyst, and was put into a kiln and temperature raised up above 900 degrees Fahrenheit and turned into citrine. Okay, so, and I'm doing little air quotes there. So why would amethyst need to be cleansed, but now all of a sudden this citrine wouldn't need to be? I mean, there's a slight little variation that makes citrine. Sorry if I hit the mic there. They're all quartz. They're all silicon dioxide, whether you're talking about rose quartz, smoky quartz, clear quartz, citrine, or amethyst. There's just one little bit of inclusion of an element, usually iron or a little bit of radiation from Mama Earth when she's baking up the crystals in the planet, that gives it this slight color hue that makes that quartz a different type of quartz. But they're all silicon dioxide, okay? 1 atom of silicon, 2 atoms of oxygen is primarily what they're made out of. So at a molecular level, why would citrine all of a sudden never need to be cleansed? Or even some say has the ability to cleanse everything else around it. In my work with citrine, in the research I've done and in years of working with it, I find it needs retuning, in fact, more often than some of my other crystals. So I feel that that is one major myth, that some crystals never need to be cleansed or retuned. I feel they're all in the same boat. They all, if they've been through some kind of a high energy event, high amplitude event, that they need to be retuned, just like a guitar that's been overplayed, they all need to be retuned at some point to bring them back to their dominant oscillatory rate, bring them back to their home frequency, we can call it, okay? So that's myth number one. All right, myth number two. All crystals, once you get them, need to be charged. They need to be charged. Okay, first of all, what does that mean? They need to be charged. Like, do they not have any power if we, the almighty human, doesn't come along and charge the crystal up? Do we really need to charge this crystal up? Do we need to plug it in or something? Plug it into the earth, or we need to intervene in some way? And the third myth, I'm going to kind of throw this one in without discussing the second one too much because I feel like they're one and the same. But I'm separating them out into two things because these are two separate questions that I often get from people that are new to crystals. Do crystals need to be programmed? And how do I program my crystal? Okay, I got my crystal, I got to program it. Okay, so I feel both of these things, the charging, the programming, both of those things come from the need to, or the want to bond with our crystals. It reminds me of, okay, and those of you that are my age or older will remember in the early 60s, I think from the 40s into the 60s, there were the Looney Tune cartoons. And sorry for you millennials out there, you're going to have to YouTube it. There was the abominable bunny rabbit. He was a big bunny. I thought it was a sheepdog. Is this a cartoon? Okay. And he got a hold of, I think it was Daffy Duck or Bugs Bunny. I can't remember which, or maybe both. And he thought it was like he thought that Daffy Duck or Bugs Bunny was like a little plaything, his new pet, his new little toy. And he picks him up and he's like, I'm going to love him and kiss him. And I'm going to do this and I'm going to hug him and call him George. Like, he was so excited to have this new little toy that he wanted to hug him and kiss him and give him a name. And that's what I feel like we get our crystal. And I want to, I want to hug him and kiss him and call him George. What can I do? I want to cleanse him and program and charge him and call him George. That's what I feel like it is. And it is exciting. You know, when you first get into crystals, you're like, wow, they're so cool, they're so glittery. What do I do with them? And you get a book that tells you to hug them and kiss them and program it and charge it and da-da-da-da. And it's like, wow, that sounds like fun. I want to do that. I want to get into that. That sounds like fun. And we want to dive in and bond with our crystals. And it gives us, you know, these certain protocols. These are things that you can do. All right. So, I mean, if we believe that crystals can help with certain aspects in our lives, or have a certain set of properties or invite in certain types of energies, why would they need us to cleanse them? Why would they need us to charge them up? Why would they need us to program them? Why? Because we think we're so much more evolved, and they can't do anything without us doing these things. Okay, so, and please also know that what I'm saying here, again, this is not the end all be all. These are just my opinions and thoughts and findings. And, you know, after years of working with the crystals and doing research and checking in with my students and seeing how they're coming along, you know, crystals have their own set of pre-programmed properties due to that home frequency that I talked about earlier, this unique vibratory signature. It's a result of a lot of different variables. There's the elemental makeup, there's the size of the crystal, there's the shape of the crystal, the specific environment that the crystal grew in. Mama Earth, in whatever way, grew all these crystals individually and very uniquely and cooked them up and baked in their program. Okay, so does this crystal need me to come along and tell it what it's good for and what it's not good for? I don't think so. Okay, so if, for example, clear quartz here is good at clarifying things or amplifying energy, do I need to tell the crystal that by programming it or charging it up for that? Or is it already programmed into its energetic blueprint? See, I'm very much a believer of this energetic blueprint or a universal code that already exists out there, okay, in what Rupert Sheldrake, scientist, calls the morphogenic field. That universal code or energetic blueprint is already there in the energetic force that we're all swimming around in, okay? The crystal has already tapped into that and already has its program, okay? That's what I believe is going on. So us coming along and choosing the program or the charge for the crystal, it's just, the point is moot, right? So the crystal is already tapping into this morphogenic field, all right? So, and to give you a little bit more information on that morphogenic field, it's like this instruction book in the ethers for how certain organisms, and crystals included there, okay, it's like instructions, an instruction booklet for how certain organisms' form should take shape and what they are to do. Okay, how does your body know to grow into the form that it grows into? How does this crystal know to grow into the form that it grows into? It's tapping into this morphogenic field, all right? I really feel that's what we're dealing with here with the crystals. So I'm not going to come along and program it or tell it what it's going to do. It's cosmically programmed into that universal code that gets baked into the crystal. It's already been done for us, all right? So I leave it up to Mother Earth to do the programming. I think she's got it down pat. She's only been around for 4.6 billion years, and humans have been around for how long? In our modern day form, maybe 1 million years, something around there. So, which is like not even a drop in the bucket. All right. And the universe may have been around for about 14 billion years. I think the universe has got it figured out. Yeah. Minerals have been around for billions of years, being created, and all the supernova that are exploding around us constantly all the time. That's where the minerals are born, you know. The basic elements, which are the ingredients for these gorgeous, wonderful beings. And they all have their energetic blueprint. And really, like Julian Lennon said, we're also enchanted by how clever we think we are. And it's exciting to say, yes, I'm going to program this crystal. And once it's programmed, it will work beautifully. And I'm going to program it and send it to you. And then it's going to work better than any other crystal. What do you think about that? Right? What do you think about that? All right, so that's what I wanted to say about that. A thinker, a critical thinking type of discussion that we could have. And I want to read some of your comments here and see what you think about that. You guys are saying you remember, and I'll call him George. Oh, a lot of people like Looney Tunes here. But do you feel like it's the same thing? Yes. Hey, Jinjin. She says they have their own properties. They know what they're here for. Yes, Karina said something that is so true. Rituals provide some sort of comfort. They certainly do. They do. And Corey says something very true. It sounds like our egoic thinking, wanting the crystals to do our bidding rather than letting them show us. Yeah. It's like, here's something I think of too. You know, you want to probably get away from the notion of the crystal's going to work for you rather than we're working with the crystal, not having it do for us, like Corey said, doing our bidding. It's something we need to learn to work with, in tandem with, and grateful for the opportunity to do so. Yes. And Karen, hi Karen, said they already have their own vibrations, so no need to program is what I always felt. Yes, I've always felt that to be true. My inner knowing rang true with that. Immediately, Karen, when I first started learning about crystals and diving into all the books, and I kept reading that dogma over and over again, and I wasn't sure that the people writing that, were they tapping into that? Were they being given that information or channeling that information? Or were they just following along with what has become dogma? Because we fall into that trap. Many of us do. And Wendy said, this is so helpful. I wondered if it was me who had thoughts about programming. Why couldn't I leave nature to do its thing? Yeah, it's a confusing thing. And I think a lot of it comes down to this dogma. There's just the belief, like everybody's saying the same thing, so let's jump on the bandwagon. Yes, and Ash said, yes, I've been more mindful to say work with rather than use the crystals. Yeah, and I've probably been at fault for not thinking when speaking and may have said use as well. And it should be, and I always mean it to be, work with the crystal, right? Or the crystal is inviting in certain kinds of energies. Okay, so I felt this was a useful discussion, so I hope you enjoyed that. The 3 biggest crystal myths. Okay, thanks everybody for joining me. This was a lot of fun, and for letting me know that my new microphone here was working well. I hope the sound was good for you guys. All right, I'll be talking to you all soon. Thanks again for your input, your valuable input, because that's what makes these discussions so juicy and getting us all to think critically. Have a wonderful day. Many crystal blessings to you all. Namaste. Bye.